this nation have spoken.
It started with a phone call earlier this morning.
We did it, Joe.
Just before noon, NBC declaring Joe Biden as president-elect and Kamala Harris as vice president-elect. Tonight, the pair spoke for the first time since the projection.
A victory for we the people.
One professor calling for the country to spotlight the significance of the day.
Even though our country is very deeply divided right now, we can't overlook the significance of this.
And local leaders marvel at the milestone.
Women around the world, every little girl around the world should be smiling right now.
This is KOMU 8 News at 10.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Tonight, Joe Biden addressed the nation for the first time as president-elect. Good evening, everyone. I'm Noah Klein. Thanks for joining us. After Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes went to Joe Biden before noon today, media outlets began calling the race. At 77 years old, Joe Biden is now projected to be the 46th president of the United States. The Biden campaign has kept quiet for most of the last 4 days, saying they would wait for all the votes to come in. The timing of this year's results was impacted by the amount of mail-in and absentee ballot voters cast due to the pandemic. And Biden didn't waste any time tonight trying to appeal to both parties.
Let us be the nation that we know we can be. A nation united, a nation strengthened, a nation healed. The United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, there's never been anything we've tried we've not been able to do.
Biden addressed the crowds at the victory party with his running mate Kamala Harris around 8 o'clock tonight, with Senator Harris also taking the stage. And Joe Biden has been involved in politics for more than 4 decades. He started as a defense attorney before landing a spot in the Senate at 29 years old. Biden was a senator until 2009. He served as vice president from 2008 to 2016. Biden was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2017. Biden officially announced he was running for president in 2020 election last year, and now he is the president-elect of the United States. Today, people around mid-Missouri say they are inspired as Senator Kamala Harris is on the way to the White House as the first black and South Asian American woman to become vice president. KOMU 8's Alyssa Jackson talked to people around the community. And Alyssa, how are people reacting?
Oh, Noah, emotions were running high today. There was a girl today that was 8 years old. She wore Converse because Kamala wore them throughout the campaign. And all day I've heard from black fathers, mothers, and activists about how Harris's victory is a sense of relief, hope, and a moment that many black people will never forget.
Madam Vice President-elect.
In the studio, Alyssa Jackson, KOMU 8 News.
Alyssa, thank you very much. Kamala Harris will be breaking a number of historical barriers when she assumes the office of vice president. Harris will be the first woman, the first black woman, and the first South Asian woman to hold the office. And the Howard University graduate will become the first person educated at a historically black college or university to rise to the vice presidency. University of Kansas journalism professor Terry Finneman has been studying women in politics for years and spoke to KOMU about what Harris's victory means. She says the victory means even more since this year is the 100th anniversary of women gaining the right to vote through the 19th Amendment. However, black women didn't get the right to vote until 1965. Finneman is a nonpartisan historian, meaning she has studied both Republican and Democratic women. It says this victory holds meaning for both sides of the aisle.
This extra crack in the glass ceiling not only is a victory for Kamala Harris and for Democrats in particular, but this is a victory for all women and frankly all men as well, because this now gives more opportunity for Republican women down the road as well.
Finneman also says Dr. Jill Biden will be one to watch as First Lady. As Second Lady, Jill kept working, which she says is rare. Groups gathered today in support and in protest of Joe Biden being projected as the 46th president. KOMU 8's Matt McCabe introduces us to demonstrators from both sides of the argument.
After 4 days, the nation now has an expectation of who will be the next president and vice president of the United States. Matt McCabe, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
For all your election news, including local results, you can head over to our website over at KOMU.com. Jacob.
Well, Noah, it's been very, very warm recently, and we're going to continue to be in this warm pattern for another couple of days. We'll have a full detailed track straight ahead.
Jacob, thank you very much. Still ahead, how people around the nation are reacting differently to the Democratic victory. That's up next. America, people are reacting differently to Joe Biden being named president-elect. In New York City, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and Chicago, you're looking at a couple of scenes from today. You can see them holding up flags, signs, blocking city streets, chanting, carrying signs, and even dancing in some places. President Trump supporters are also showing their support. In Lansing, Michigan, people gathered outside their state capitol. And in Miami, people waved their flags and cheered at passing cars. Meanwhile, in Denver, the two sides clashed at the state capitol. Biden supporters were on the Capitol lawn this morning, and then Trump supporters came around noon. A Colorado State Patrol spokesperson said state troopers were deployed in a line between the two groups, which were yelling at each other. Authorities say there has been no physical violence.
November 3rd is finally here, and we have everything you'll need to stay informed on your local elections. And we have live team coverage from across mid-Missouri about the governor's race, voter turnout, and how your ballots are being counted.
And I'm here in the studio to break down what each part of Amendment 3 means.
And with information from 5 other local elections, we have you covered. This is KOMU 8 News at 6.
This is a KOMU 8 News special report. Smart Decision election coverage.
Well, the time is 6 o'clock on the dot, and voting for Election Day 2020 is wrapping up in 1 hour. November 3rd is finally here in a year with highly contested races both nationally and locally. Good evening, everyone. I'm Emily Spain. Thanks for joining us tonight. The final deadline to get in line, cast your vote, and your voice heard is 7 p.m. We have live team coverage tonight. KOMU 8's Marissa Rios is live from the Boone County Clerk's office, and Jasmine Lotz is live to talk voter turnout. But first, let's go to Marissa Rios. Marissa, how are votes being counted differently this year?
Emily, well, voting looks a lot different this year when you're comparing the number of absentee and mail-in ballots compared to 2016's election.
So we've been preparing for that as well.
And once those polls close, all of the election judges from across the Boone County, 76 different polling locations, will be coming back here to the clerk's office to start compiling the total number of votes. Remember, on the clerk's website, they're going to start showing the unofficial number of ballots, but those numbers will not be finalized for about another week to a week and a half. Reporting live in Columbia, I'm Marissa Rios, KOMU 8 News.
Boone County residents have been making their way to polls all day to voice their choice. Some lines were shorter than expected, others were longer. KOMU-based Jasmine Lotz is live outside the Daniel Boone Regional Library in Columbia. And Jasmine, what have you seen out there today?
Emily, lines were longer this morning but shortened throughout the afternoon.
People fought for our right to vote in this country, and especially for females too, so I just think it's important, especially for, people of our age that are shaping the future.
If you still haven't voted yet, there's still some time. As long as you're in line by 7 p.m., you're still allowed to vote. In Columbia, Jasmine Lotz, KOMU 8 News.
Well, the race between Mike Parson and Nicole Galloway is coming to a close, and the winner could be decided tonight. We have live team coverage on the race for the state's top job, with KOMU 8's Ian Russell covering Galloway's campaign and Annabelle Thorpe covering Parson's. First, let's go to Parson in Springfield. And Annabelle, what does it look like down there?
Emily, attendees are just now able to come in as doors opened at 6 o'clock.
We're not going to defund no police in the state of Missouri.
The executive director told me that he contacted over 2 million voters this election cycle. That's more than 2 times the amount they contacted in the contentious U.S. Senate race in 2018. So we'll see tonight if that momentum translates into votes. Reporting in Springfield, Annabelle Thorpe, KOMU 8 News.
Back here in Columbia, Parsons challenger Nicole Galloway is holding her watch party. Continuing our live team coverage on the race for governor is KOMU 8's Ian Russell live at the Tiger Hotel in downtown Columbia. Ian?
Well, yeah, this is definitely a little bit different than what a normal campaign watch party would look like.
It's one that puts government back on the side of Missouri families.
Now, a senior advisor told me just a little bit ago that they're feeling confident and that they have the momentum as we get into this last hour before the polls close. Of course, Auditor Galloway's campaign event is supposed to start here at the Tiger Hotel in Columbia at 7 p.m. We'll have full coverage from that and results coming up tonight at 9 and 10. Reporting live in Columbia, I'm Ian Russell, KOME 8 News.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. And it was a seasonal and actually well above average day for us today. But there is going to be a change in that pattern as we head towards next week in the extended forecast. That's coming up.
Okay, thanks, Kenton. 1, 2, 3 parts to Amendment 3, and we have a reporter to break each down for you. Alyssa will tell you about that coming up next.
Last night's presidential debate was one for the history books, to say the least. And in case you missed it, here's a recap to start your morning. Now, both candidates landed in Cleveland in mid-afternoon. President Trump arrived with First Lady Melania Trump around 2:30 and headed straight to the debate stage so Trump could get a feel before the debate itself. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden arrived just an hour after the president. Biden also made a point to take a walk through of the debate stage. Now, before last night's debate, Black Lives Matter and other social issue groups were seen protesting. The large crowd gathered just down the road from the venue, where two candidates were set to spar in the first presidential debate. They were advocating for subjects that the Democratic ticket has highlighted.
The opening of the debate seemed friendly as the candidates greeted each other.
How you doing, man? How are you?
But the situation quickly dissolved as both candidates interrupted each other, leaving moderator Chris Wallace very frustrated.
Well, true. You're doing it.
You're going to have
true.
Gentlemen, I hate to raise my voice, but it seems to be, why should I be different than the two of you?
The candidates also snuck in shots at each other throughout the night, with Biden ridiculing President Trump's time in office and the president comparing his accomplishments to Biden's.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe.
Despite this, the candidates were able to get to a number of issues, notably President Trump's Supreme Court nominee, COVID-19, the president's tax returns, white supremacist groups, Antifa, and the exchange of power after the election. Judge Amy Coney Barrett has also been a hot topic in the news lately, especially since her nomination is being pushed through despite the election being less than a month away, something Democrats are taking issue with. And then former President Barack Obama's nominee was denied with 8 months until the 2016 election.
We won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee.
The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now.
Plus, the topic on everyone's mind as it affects, stick around, COVID-19.
He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot.
Do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening.
Another hot topic as the New York Times article keeps circulating President Trump's tax returns.
Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is.
He says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts.
Now, as President Trump said, he found a way to go through the tax laws. He also found a way around the topic of white supremacy when moderator Chris Wallace brought it up. Take a look.
Willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
And finally, the last topic of the night, the exchange of power. Now, this comes after President Trump did not commit to a peaceful transition of power last week.
Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome. And I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to see an honest ballot count.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there. To be continued.
Now, for a further breakdown of the debate and each candidate's comments, you can just visit our website, KOMU.com. The second presidential debate is set for October 15th. We also have a voter guide on our website as well.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Mid-Missouri schools are still in the same boat. Districts are adjusting and reaching new solutions. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Reek. Thanks for joining us. We have team coverage at 5 o'clock from how families are coming together to adjust, a Q&A from Jefferson City parents, and how Friday Night Fever will look on the football field. Let's start with KOMU 8's Alyssa Jackson. She spoke with a Mid-Missourian who's getting creative with virtual learning.
Some kids will be spending more time at tables like these instead of desks this school year.
Then, you would save money. You wouldn't have to pay daycare.
The group is still in its beginning stages. Parents for each pod will be responsible for up to 4 students each day. For more details on these learning pods, you can visit our story on KOMU.com. Live in Columbia, Alyssa Jackson, KOMU 8 News.
As Columbia pushed the start of school back, Jefferson City schools are heading back as scheduled August 24th. There are still a lot of safety questions. KOMU 8's Joey Miller sat in on a virtual learning session and joins us with what was said.
As many as 400 people joined the virtual Q&A live stream. In the newsroom, Joey Miller, KOMU 8 News.
The first week of high school football practices in the books. We're just 2 weeks away from Friday Night Fever. KOMU 8's Tyler Dersinga spent the week at several Mid-Missouri practices and found out what makes this season a little different.
That's right. Between myself and sports director Ben Arnett, we went to practices at 7 high schools this week.
One Mid-Missouri county is dealing with a police department in Canada. We'll tell you why. That's coming up.
Well, if you think your neighborhood streets are unplowed, this guy says you have no idea what Boone County has to say about clearing gravel roads coming up.
All the Valentine's Day candy and flowers add up. How Mid-Missouri businesses are cashing in.
National Weather Service is calling this tornado large and extremely dangerous, and the damage left behind, as you can see here, proves it. How the people of Jefferson County are faring as the sun rises on what the tornado left behind. That's up next. In Jefferson County, Alabama, residents are waking up to destruction, and several people are being treated for injuries after a tornado tore through last night. CNN is reporting at least 1 person dead. Injuries reported range from minor to serious. One family had their home collapse on them. Their condition is unknown. The most significant damages in Jefferson County surrounding areas were impacted, though. The director of the county's emergency management agency says there are 5 fire department heavy rescue teams responding right now. And do we know what level of tornado this is yet, Tim?
No.